Bruce, first item up for bids here for us is what I spoke about at the end of the first hour in an interview with Texas Monthly, Archie Manning, the patriarch of the Manning empire, if you will, saying that Arch is going to stay at Texas no matter what happens this year. He's not leaving for the NFL after 2025. That's not going to happen, is what he said. What's your opinion of all of this?
I'm not surprised at all. We did a big story on Arch about 6 weeks ago, and it was really from the perspective of Cooper, his dad, and Ellen, his mom, and how they raised him, and just the process of raising the next Manning, but also just raising kids in the social media era, which is obviously different than what
no doubt.
Archie's three boys came through. But one of the things that I remembered Cooper telling me was I think they were very mindful of there's no need to rush if I think he's seen plenty of examples of the NFL world is quick to throw guys under the bus, as soon as if things don't go great right out of the gate.
Like Caleb Williams is a perfect example.
Well, the other one I remember us talking a little bit was Baker Mayfield.
That's another good one.
Right? And he finds a great second act now in Tampa.
Mm-hmm. Which is technically his fourth act.
Fourth act, yeah.
I'm not saying that to nitpick. It's just...
Yeah, he went to the Rams. He went to the
there was a journey that nobody saw coming when he was first overall.
Yeah, and so we talked about that, and I think, he really had a lot of perspective on that, in that, being ready when you're ready, like, it's really important. And it was like no real need to rush the process. So I'm not surprised. The other thing that I think people lose sight of, because Arch's name has been out there, we've talked about him for a long time, I feel like, on this show. And I feel like people forget he's only started a couple of games. And this is his first time. It's his team. And for one season, even if it's 16 games, which the season's obviously now longer for really good college football teams,
right?
It's still not that much of a sample size. And so I know, I kind of saw a little bit of the social media chatter off of the comments from Archie about this. And just in the back of my head, not even the back of my head, I was like, okay, you can all have your perspectives on what's good for business or whatever and money. Like, the Mannings know more about developing quarterbacks than anybody else does, right? I mean, both sons who are highly rated coming out of high school blossomed into great, iconic quarterbacks. Everything that seems like they've done with Arch to this point seems like it's been spot on. So somebody can say, oh yeah, it's like, it doesn't make sense to do this, or, they can talk about business or whatever. Like, A, they're doing well financially. And B, everybody I've talked to there, including somebody I talked to yesterday at UT, thinks he's loving, having the time of his life there.
Well, I'm glad to hear that, because when I saw this quote from Archie as well, I thought it could also be a great way to just, let's not have this conversation with this kid this year. Like, let him, because they, obviously the Mannings know all about developing quarterbacks. They also know about business. They also know about life, right? This kid is going to have an opportunity to be the starting quarterback at the University of Texas. Let him be a kid. Yeah. Let him be a kid on campus. Let him be the BMOC. Peyton remembers what it was like on campus in Knoxville.
And it's different now, by the way, because of the camera phones and all the social media challenges.
I was saying, like, when I was thinking to myself, when you're like that social media, when Peyton and Eli and Cupper were of that age, Snapchat was basically like about cadence for them. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like that. So that said, just let him be a kid and try and provide the cover for it, because the NFL is going to be there. And one would think, like, if he does have a monster season, and they do survey the scene and go, you know what? A really good organization with a really good coach and a really good ownership group and a really good front office has the first overall pick, or would move up to take Arch. Got to consider that. Like, that may be something that is down the road, but why not just provide him some cover right now and say, don't ask him about it. Don't make this season about what's next in the NFL. Just make it about, let him just live in an Austin bubble and go about his business, be a BMOC, and live his collegiate life, because that day will soon be over.
And I think part of it isn't even it's like the opposite of the BMOC part. I think even though that's going to be there,
right.
I think everything I've heard from their family, but also the people at UT who I talked to, is he gets to be as much of a regular guy as he can be there.
Yes.
Right? You go to the NFL, and all that changes, right? And so I just think time is on his side. Now, the one thing of all, and I get it, where it's like, there's different situations. The situation that Caleb went to is very different than the one Jaden Daniels ended up in last year. And that's kind of a fickle process, how it can kind of play out.
Yes.
There's an injury component that obviously people can worry about. It's a physical sport. But I just think in terms of like maximizing who he is as a quarterback with reps, with time on task, with all the experience and exposure, that benefits him in the long run, but it certainly benefits him in the short run especially. And then the other side of it is if he's done everything he wants to do to be at Texas. This is why it's really important. Now, all of a sudden, it's his team. Why would you want to rush that? I mean, if you're him. Now, I get it why all of us in the media world,
yes.
It gives us something to talk about because he is such a recognizable brand, even if they don't want to be a brand. That's what he is to outsiders.
Bruce Feldman here from Fox Sports and The Athletic. It's too bad Arch's first game as the starter this year, no one's going to see. Wait a minute. What a monster game. I mean, you must be, and everybody at Big Noon on Fox, and everybody must be out of their minds in anticipation of
1
Saturday,
versus 2 now.
Saturday of Labor Day weekend. Have we ever had a 1 versus 2 on week 0? If you
no,
will?
Well, that's not. It's week 1. Week 0 is the week before.
My bad. Then
but you can watch the Kansas Fresno State game.
Thank you, sir. I will do that. Well done. There'll be something extra. But yeah, I mean, this is insane. What a first big game. Like, what's your first blush thoughts? Obviously, you've got the defending national champs moving in a new direction at quarterback themselves. What do you got for me?
Can't wait. I mean, I would argue that the best player in the country is at Ohio State. That's Jeremiah Smith. Mm-hmm. I mean, he was number 1 on my freaks list this year. He is a guy, if he was in the draft, I think he would be the first pick in the draft. He is that special.
Right now.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw what he did last year. I understand. But okay, keep going. I didn't mean to interrupt.
I mean, the interesting part here with Ohio State, obviously defending national champs, as you said, Will Howard, the quarterback, who played really well down the stretch. He's now off in the NFL. They have to replace him, whether it's, Julian Sand was the big recruit who's very accurate, and I think he'll be the guy. But Lincoln Kienholz is a guy who's been around, more athletic, bigger, gives them more of a running presence at the quarterback. Not want to say similar to Will Howard, but has some of that in him. The part that is the wild card for me for Ohio State is both coordinators are gone, right? Chip Kelly, who did a really good job, especially with the run game last year. He's now in Las Vegas with Pete Carroll, and Jim Knowles, who did an amazing job with the defense, he's at Penn State. So now you get Matt Patricia, who's never been a college coach, running the defense. And Brian Hartline, who's been an amazing receivers coach, now he steps up into that role. They don't have those 2 great running backs, and those guys were dynamite for Ohio State. I think that's the biggest area where there's going to be a drop-off. It's not at quarterback. I think that's the part where you're like, man, they had Travion Henderson and Quinshon Judkins were a lethal 1-2 punch, and they really exploited it last year in that offense. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying they're not going to be a playoff team. I still think they're loaded. I mean, Caleb Downs is probably the best defensive player in the country. He's the safety. And obviously, Jeremiah Smith's the best offensive player. So you start with that. They got great linebackers who can run and are big and impressive. But there's probably going to be some growing pains a little bit just because new coordinators. And again, I think they're going to miss the run game element just because the talent in that running back room isn't the same as it used to be.
I mean, though, they seem to just keep on churning them
they
out.
Do.
Man.
They do.
But it's not like they're. But I understand you still need to see it, and you need to see it to the level of what we saw, national championship quality. I understand that. Have we gotten through the If Ryan Day drops one game, he should be fired. Stuff. Do you get a sense that from the Buckeye faithful that last year's magical run was enough? What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's now. Look, lose to Michigan again, and I don't know how they react to that. But that's 3 months away.
But I understand. And listen, you know I have my fun with this, and I love it. By the way, I love talk. This is one of my favorite subject matters. You know.
Oh, I know.
But wouldn't last year just go ahead and prove that that regular season game, as much as we love it, as much as Big Noon Fox loves to have it, that it's really all now about the games after such a thing, and that truly the next big, massive, all stakes on the table Michigan-Ohio State game will be the first time we ever see it in the college football playoffs. Like when you say that, like wouldn't.
Logically, I would agree with everything you're saying, but logic doesn't work in that. I get it. I think he's a terrific coach. I think he's done an amazing job there. But it's just like, I know there is that element of the Ohio State fan base. I'm not going to guess what the percentage of how big that is.
Sure.
But I think it just kind of lurks around, especially because last year Michigan was really down.
That is correct.
So
that was correct. That was one of the most stunning Michigan wins. Period. Doesn't matter against who. And moving on, I guess for Michigan, do we see the kid? Is it going to be Bryce Underwood?
I think it's going to be Bryce Underwood.
You do.
Very talented. He does not have like elite pieces around him, right? Like they have. I don't think it's the caliber of the O-line that JJ had when they were, winning a national title. The run game, they've added some, transfers, and I just don't think they have a lot of firepower around him, receiver-wise. And before, obviously, when they won a national title, I honestly thought it fit well because JJ could make plays when he had to, was a good runner, could throw on the run. They had Corum. They had Loveland when he was healthy, but it wasn't like they had this really explosive offense. They do not have a lot of pieces around Bryce Underwood where I think he's going to put up big numbers. I do think last year they were so bad on offense. You have a new offensive coordinator, Chip Lindsey. I imagine they will be better. But Kalel Mullings was actually terrific for them last year.
There's no doubt. I
mean, he put the program on his back at times.
Well, against USC, for sure.
No doubt.
And then against
he put USC on his back.
Right. It's right. USC was on his back. That's right. So Penn State is 2 in the conference? Or they can overtake Ohio State. That game at the Horseshoe's that big.
Yeah, they're talented enough. Okay. Obviously Drew Aller's a guy with a lot of physical talent.
He's probably raising his hand saying, "What are you talking about, Arch?"
I don't think he wants that talk right now. Nobody wants that talk at this point. Let me just go out and do it.
Right.
They've upgraded a lot at receiver, which they had to do in the portal. Trevor Pena, who I think somebody here has seen a lot of. Really good receiver at Syracuse. I know talking to James Franklin, he's talked about how he's kind of hit the ground running athletically there. They have 3 guys that have come in. They're loaded. Both running backs came back. That's a wow thing because usually you may get one to come back, but not both.
Right.
The offensive line is elite. They have a bunch of freaky athletes on the defensive side. I think the biggest question mark for them is just... not a question mark. The thing I'm most interested to see is Jim Knowles, who did such a good job everywhere he's been, Oklahoma State, and then certainly at Ohio State. And he knows what it takes to see Ohio State because he saw it up close. This is a program that often lived and died, in man coverage. And that's great but when you play Ohio State, that's not great. That's a tough ask. And I think Jim Knowles is very good at having answers and keeping people off balance. I really want to see, because they did a really good job with Andy Kotelnicki. That was the offensive coordinator they brought in last year. But I think on the other side of the ball, I think maybe Jim Knowles has the ability to take them one notch up, which is a national title team.
Let's talk Prime. Obviously, his health issues front and center, and it appears again, we're getting through his bladder cancer, or he's working through it, and he's healthy. We're on the track. And then before that, it was all about Shedeur and being drafted. Now that if we can place those two things aside, what does Colorado look like in the post-Shedeur Sanders era for Prime, in your estimation, the expectation level in the Big 12?
I think the roster, probably top to bottom, might be a little better than it was a couple of years ago when he first started getting it going.
Right.
The star power is not there because Shedeur was a high-level college quarterback, and more than anything, Travis Hunter was a generational player who could take over games, and he did. You know, whether it was a big play on offense or causing a fumble to, at the goal line to save them in a game, like that is, you can't replace that ability to just take over and make huge plays. They were a 9-win team last year who was in the top 25. I do think they'll take a step back, but I think they can still be a bowl team. I don't want to say this is a rebuild year, but you have a new quarterback, whether it's going to be Caden Salter, who played a lot. It was a starter at Liberty, or Juju Lewis, who's a 17-year-old quarterback who was a big recruit for them. I mean, I think at some point you're going to see a lot of Juju Lewis. He's not. It's funny. I saw him like a month ago, and I don't know if he's quite as the size of Bryce Young, but about that. But it's not like Bryce Young and Kyler Murray are not the comparison because they're more dynamic athletes than he is. But he is a really good passer, and there's still plenty of weapons around for him. So
okay, keep going. That's our sound man who's phone
your
went
tech
off.
guy. What is going on?
Don't worry about it, man. It's
Sorry.
Okay. It's all
And
right.
you win Emmys?
No,
That's all right.
that's why he wasn't invited to turn in. Right there. I'm sorry. Go on.
No,
You're
so
saying-
I think I don't think they're going to fall apart. I just think some of those moments where Travis took over, I don't know who does that. There's some good NFL talent. Like they have a big time cornerback who physically is what they look for. But again, I just think that they're kind of somewhere between where they were in year one of Deion when they won 4 games,
right,
and last year when they were 9. I think they're probably 6 or 7 wins.
So in the couple minutes I have left with you, tell me about the freaks list that you put together, and just give me some bullet points here, and everyone can go to The Athletic to read the whole thing.
Yeah, so I've been doing it for 20 years.
Amazing.
So good.
And it's gotten bigger and bigger, in part with your friend Daniel Jeremiah in the NFL scouting world has really kind of leaned into it too.
That's great.
But it's amazing to see when I started this was like, okay, who are the guys in each program that make their coaches and teammates say, wow, and by what they do, whether it's the number 2 guy on the list, Caden Proctor, is a 6'7", 366-pound left tackle for Alabama. His strength numbers are insane. The numbers that blew me away when maybe do a triple take, where when I saw he vertical jumped 32 inches and broad jumps 9.5 feet.
It's insane. It's crazy.
It is insane. So you're around the combine every year, right?
And it gets freakier every year.
There are 5 receivers at the NFL Combine this year who didn't jump that high. Chad Johnson, all-time great player, he didn't even jump that high. And this guy weighs 150 pounds, almost 200 pounds more. It's insane.
It's crazy.
That's crazy.
It's crazy. Do you have keep going? Do you got another one or two?
Oh yeah,
more
I
for
mean,
you?
there's a Oregon has a defensive tackle, right? You saw obviously Oregon had a first rounder last year and a guy, Jamari Caldwell, who's going to play in the NFL probably a long time.
Yeah.
Amari Washington is 6'3", 340 pounds, runs 21 miles per hour. It's insane to be that fast. At some point, whatever it is going to be 9 months from now, they're going to have a video of him just blowing past you. Probably, I can see it. They're going to give you a 15-yard head start, and he's going to run you down.
I love it. I'll take it. I'll take it.
But then there's the flip side of it is the smaller guys who are just incredibly strong, that are 180 pounds and bench press more than twice their body weight. Like I said, Jeremiah Smith's my number 1 guy this year. But then there's another Buckeye, Sonny Styles, who's a terrific linebacker. Dad played in the NFL.
Yeah.
When you see him in person, you're like, oh my God, he looks just like kind of the Greek god. He was walking around Vegas at Big Ten Media Days, and you know, when I talked to him for a while about this, he was just talking about like how his dad had them doing all these like plyometrics and agility stuff from the time they were 5 and 6 years old.
Do you have a list of, before I let you go, is there a list, like a spreadsheet of over the 20 years, fastest times, fastest, you know, most?
I'm not that organized.
Well, I'm just saying, because I would just love to see how the development of the freakiness has gone. That what was freaky 10 years ago right now is just like, oh, okay, it's just another day that ends in Y.
Yeah, the only thing was, you know? Calvin Johnson was 20 years ago. We're not, you know, it's like.
So even there's something freaky from 20 years ago that would equally stand out today.
Oh, yeah. Like, I mean, if you ask me who are the 10 freakiest guys who have come through college football.
Yes.
Like, Calvin Johnson's in the top 3. That was 20 years ago.
Megatron, man.
You know, like one of the cool things about Jeremiah Smith, the best comparison I could come up with for him is Andre Johnson.
Wow.
You know, Hall of Famer, Andre Johnson, like, because they are incredibly strong. They're both Miami kids. Now, I think Jeremiah Smith is probably more polished at an early age.
Jeez.
But you're talking about a guy who just ragdolls people, but he runs 23.5 miles per hour and super strong. But like, so when I met Jeremiah Smith's dad last year, and we were talking about this, and I brought up the Andre Johnson thing, he goes, you know, I got a photo I'm going to send you. JJ is like 7, and it's with him with Andre Johnson, and it's a really, you know, it's a cool photo of like guy who at the time was, you know, on the path to be a Hall of Famer, but certainly wasn't at that stage of his, you know, life.
Sure.
And a guy who, I don't want to say Jeremiah Smith's going to be a Hall of Famer, it's too soon to make that, but like the best player in college football. And you know, the common trait is the drive, the work ethic, and the toughness, not just the physical toughness, but like the mental toughness. And I think people pouring into them, and it's really cool to see when it all comes together.
Check it out on The Athletic. Great to see you, sir. Thanks for coming in here. Look forward to another season. Let's do it.
All right.
That's Bruce Feldman right here on The Rich Eisen Show. Catch The Rich Eisen Show live weekdays from 12 to 3 p.m. Eastern on Roku Sports Channel in the U.S.